Today on Happiest Camper, we show you how to make this fun DIY duffel bag. This is such a fun sewing project. If you love bags like me, this duffel bag is the perfect sewing project if you are wanting to go beyond basic tote bags. The best part is that it only takes a few hours, and you'll have a fun new gym bag or overnight bag of your own. Let's get started. Start by cutting out your fabric and fusible fleece. You can find the cut list at the link in the description. Match up each piece of fusible fleece to its corresponding cut of fabric. The only pieces that shouldn't have a matching fleece are the two cording strips. Use an iron to fuse the fleece to the back of the main pieces, the end circles, and the bottom panel. Double check to make sure the fleece has bonded. Iron again if necessary. Now we can start sewing our duffel bag. Lay the two main outer panels right sides together. Sew the bottom together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Unfold and press the seam flat. Next, we will be creating and attaching the straps. Turning out tubing with fusible fleece is a real pain, so we are going to be using an easier method. Start by ironing a crease down the center of each strap. Then place your remaining fusible fleece inside each strap so that it's butting right up to the crease. Iron in place. Now, fold the raw edges inside and pin or clip in place. Then sew several straight lines down the length of each strap. Make sure you've caught the raw edges under one of those lines. Don't worry about closing off the ends. Those will be sewn into the duffel bag's bottom panel anyway. Next, you'll pin the straps in place and sew onto the front panels. Make sure the straps line up on both sides and aren't twisted before you pin them in place. Sew 4 long rectangles onto the main panel where each end of the straps lay. Stop about 3 inches away from the top of the panels. To cover the ends of the straps, fold in and iron the outer edges of the bottom panel, and pin into place on the center seam. Sew all the way around the panel. I went around mine twice to give it some extra strength. Now for the piping of your duffel bag to give it a nice look. Lay a piece of cording down the middle of each cording strip. Fold over the fabric and clip or pin into place. Sew down the middle to hold the cording in place. It's easiest to use a zipper foot, but you can also do this with your regular sewing machine foot by moving the needle all the way to the left. Next, clip each piece of cording to a circle of the outer fabric like this. If your fabric print is directional, make sure the ends of the cording are at the bottom. Overlap the ends and cut off any excess. Sew the cording in place with at least a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Set these aside and we will move on to shaping the duffel bag. Start by sewing the zipper across the top of one front panel with right sides together. Each time you sew along a zipper, 4 times total in this project, start with the zipper in front of the needle. Then once you've gone down a fair amount, lift the foot up with the needle down and slide the zipper pull behind the needle. Then flip the bag so the fleece is on the outside and sew the top of the second panel to the other side of the zipper. At this point, you should have an inside-out tube. Next, we will be pinning and sewing the end circles in place. But before we do that, it's very important that the zipper stay at least 1/3 of the way open for the rest of the project. Otherwise, you won't be able to flip the bag right side out at the end. Line up the end circles so that the cording overlap at the bottom lines up the middle seam at the bottom of the bag. Pin and sew into place. Now you should have a fully finished inside-out tube of outer fabric. Now we need to repeat these steps with the inside fabric. Next, pin and sew the first inner panel to the zipper so that when the bag is facing up, so is the inner fabric. Repeat with the other inner panel. Do not sew the bottom together. Now align and sew the inner circles into place, the same as before. Only this time, the tube is not closed on the side. I used a couple clover clips to hold the tube closed while I added the inner circles. That way, I could make sure they would line up correctly when I was done. Now you should have 2 tubes connected by the long zipper, with one side still open. Flip the bag right side out through the opening, so that the outside of the bag is right side out, but don't tuck in the lining just yet. While the lining is still out, tuck in the ends and sew the gap closed. You can also do this part by hand if you want less of a bump in the lining seam. I prefer it this way because I know it will hold when I shove too many shoes in my new duffel bag. Tuck the lining into the bag and it's all finished. Now you know how to sew a beautiful duffel bag. This simple duffel bag can be dressed up even more if you add some pockets, but works great as is. It would also make a great gift for any occasion. Whip up one for yourself and for a friend. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our latest sewing content.